I cling to Joshua 1:8 and 1:9. It's like my name, but it's the first verse the Lord used to really grab me, probably because I was selfish and in my own little, like, oh, my name's in the Bible, and it's be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Don't be dismayed, for this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night. Then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success. The success and prosperity is rooted in meditating on what the Lord wants for our life. And so, that's again really in line with that VVSG, right? Like, we put the Lord first and everything else is added to us. Like, we keep in perspective what true success is, which is the vision, not the strategies and not the goals. It doesn't matter how far along that path you get, Jeff, right? Like somebody can go, okay, well, I ask a question all the time. Like, when will you be successful? Like, when will you be successful? Dash, fill it in. When I'm a great dad, when I'm a great husband, when I have financial independence, when I finally achieve this in my business, when I finally have an amazing wife, when I finally have an amazing husband, when I finally do this and accomplish that. And you can put anything in that little space. And I think at the end of that, you're going to then go, okay, let's say you accomplish every single one of those things. The problem with it, if you just have strategy and goals, it stops short of what I believe really matters, because you're going to go, then what? What are you living for? So now you have no motivation. You're completely lost, and that's, I believe, why most people have midlife crisis in their life, is because they don't understand their motivation. They don't understand the relationship with motivation. And they live their life for those goals, and they either don't accomplish them and then feel like crap, and they feel like a loser and feel like nothing, and it attacks their self-image, or they accomplish everything and they feel better than everybody and amazing, but then they go, but now what? And I believe when you get that VVSG figured out, you live a life, like you talked about in the very beginning, of purpose, that is full of motivation, that is full of drive, that is generational. It doesn't matter how far along that path you get, or if I die today, I die success because I'm on the right path. That, to me, is what this is all about.
So how does a guy, I think a lot of guys have like the intention, like you said, hey, I want my children on my shoulders, and you're going to go reach stuff I never did. Right. But then actually implementation, kind of like what you just got done saying. How does a guy go from the intention, which I think a lot of men have good intentions, but their implementation of it sucks. So, how do you go from, we all have like that intention, right? Almost every guy has the intention, right? To what are some steps a guy needs to like really implement that?
Well, I think the first thing is you got to just start, right? Like I would write this list down and not procrastinate it. John Maxwell says the greatest gap in success is the difference between knowing and doing. There's a lot of people that have knowledge, and people that listen to your podcast, they might listen to a 50 podcast and they have all this knowledge in their head, but it's never great and unless it's applied, right? Like, and so we have to be willing to get into moving, take the next step. Like, and you can only take one step, right? That's again, what I was saying earlier, the lamp before your feet. Like, the Lord is going to direct you to take that next step and be faithful with what you've been given. Don't be worried about the 50th step from now. Don't worry about all the things that you have to do and freak out about, okay, well, what about this? And what if I quit my job and start my business, but I don't have enough money? And what if it fails? And what if, I mean, who cares? First of all, it's all the Lord, so it doesn't matter. That's what makes entrepreneur life interesting, because it's not mine. I'm going to lose anything of it. So it's already God's anyway. So I'm just being faithful with what he's been giving me. And I believe, live an entrepreneur life like you do. We've talked about this, that you have the ability to make such an impact in people's lives because you're leading, and you have the ability to have influence in their life and your values that you get to put out in the world versus somebody else's, and just doing what somebody else wants you to do for a paycheck. It's harder. There's no question about that. It's more stressful, but so I would say make the next step to answer the question. My answers are long. I apologize.
That's okay, dude. And from my perspective, like, I love that you said create like the values, just write them down. Like, and sometimes we think we have them in our head. We think we're teaching them to our kids. But your actual implementation of passing on what you know and what you value is not that good. And I'm saying that from a place of experience. Um, and that's why, anyways, I love things like this, because you can write this down and you can implement it today. And if you've already have like core values, you already have the vision. Well, now, like Josh is saying, just take the next step. Like, go back to your strategy. Then, how do you actually do that? Like with your family, though, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, yeah, we have the values, we have the visions, and I think I need to revamp it again. It's been like a year, and just kind of fine tune it a little bit, and work back to the implementation, the strategy section. So,
And put stuff around you. Like, in the Amway business, I've always had mentors that say, you got to put your dream in front of you. You got to be always thinking about it and visualizing it and writing it down. And the Lord says, write down your vision on tablets so it's clear. And so everybody can see it and know it. And I think so many times we don't write things down and put those values on my wife's amazing. She has some here, everywhere around me. Like, she's always putting down, like signs that say stuff about our values and, making a difference and impact and, scripture and things that align with who we are. So everywhere you go, and you're always thinking about it, like companies have mission statements and value statements that they put on the wall. Well, why wouldn't you as a family? Why wouldn't you put that up on your wall and say, this is what we stand for, make it look cool? My wife would never put anything cheesy on the wall, so she's the one in charge of it. But it's got to be in front of us, right? Like, you got to
yeah,
saturate yourself with the stuff that we're talking about. You can't just like hear one podcast and then expect to change. Like, you gotta make these little implementations, and it's a process. Be patient with yourself and forgive yourself, and don't beat yourself up so much, right? Like, I think as well, we shut down as men because we want to win and we want to be perfect, and then we fail. So then we stop dreaming, we stop talking about it, we stop talking to our wives about it because we feel like we suck and we're losers. And so then we don't get vulnerable and talk about how we really feel. And then it leads to us isolating ourselves. And then it leads to us being in a position where we don't communicate with our wives. And then we just start to slowly drift apart again. And we have to watch that, in my opinion. I have to watch that all the time. Like, I'm really bad at that. And that's something that I'm constantly trying to be aware of. Like, hey, am I pushing my wife away because I'm feeling insecure about myself? And it's not about me. So why am I worried about it? Like, my wife loves me the most when I'm vulnerable, and
hmm.
I hate being vulnerable and wimpy feeling.
Whew. Yeah, there's a lot to chew on there. I think vulnerability is. Did you say that was your superpower? What did you say was your superpower earlier?
About it, but it's how the
Yeah,
Lord has used me in so many people's lives, and He's
yeah,
asked me to share my story with people in a very raw, radical, like, here it is, like, just
yeah.
half of them I don't even know those people, and the Lord is asking me to share with people about my past, and I've just seen a lot of cool things happen through the vulnerability. Um, and so, yeah, I just really love going deep with people, and I think somebody's got to be willing to be vulnerable for a relationship to go deep.
Hmm.
You can't have a deep relationship with the kids if you're always being prideful and bossing them around as a dad. You have to be vulnerable with them and know that they really can relate with you and understand, like, hey, just because you're their dad doesn't mean you have it all figured out, right? Just because you're a dad doesn't mean you can't share some of your failures with them. Like John Maxwell says, people never learn anything from their successes, but they do learn a lot from their failures, or they don't, because they don't evaluate their failures.
Hmm.
But we only learn from failures if there's ever an opportunity to learn. And our kids are going to relate with our failures more than they will with our successes. And I am guilty of looking at my kids sometimes going, well, you can do this. Come on. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, like, hurry up, figure it out. Let's do this. And sometimes we expect them when they haven't gone through those failures yet. They haven't gone through the journey and the struggle. So, just being like, hey, you know what? Not always good at this. So be be willing to, push through and get back up. And it's okay, like it's okay to fail. Like failure isn't final unless we accept it as final, right? Like it's part of success. Success is failing as fast as we can, like as often as we can. And I hate that. I truly do. That's probably the part of success I hate the most. I wish, you think of the word success, it's like suck. You got to suck, 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 suck. And then finally, like, oh, look, I'm successful, like 10 years of sucking. And then finally, everything looks like it came out of nowhere. But it's, I'm an
Yeah.
overnight success. It took me 18 years to get here.
Well, I think there's just aspects of that, like other entrepreneurs, they already know, like, hey man, you're gonna make it if you just stick with it, keep going, right? And then, sometimes, not every time, but like in the like having a job arena is, failure isn't a good thing when you have a job because now you don't have a job. And then you
For
go to
sure.
get another one, and your previous job, they're going to call them and be like, how was he as an employee? Oh gosh, he was this, and it's like failure there is not good, but failure in the mindset of an entrepreneur or someone who's going to get up again and keep going is a good thing because you just learn from it, right? It's not devastating.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought out that point about what failure is, because really it's needed. And so don't look down on failure. Just
Embrace it.
it's what you do after it. Yeah, embrace it, and then what do you do after that? So, well, Josh, I know I could just talk to you obviously for a long time, and we hardly even got into all the things that we probably could get into over. Maybe we're just gonna have you back on, but I'd like you to share how people can, either if something you said just impacted them, they want to reach out. How can people find you?
Yeah, they can contact us, on our website, at my pool company, radiantbuilders.com, and reach out that way. They can, we got different social media. I think you'll have some stuff on the links here, but my email, changingyourstars@gmail.com. They could email me just saying, hey, I love what I heard. And I always want to inspire people, encourage people. And, one of the things that my wife and I do is, and there's a season where I struggle with it, but our life is not ours, and we want to live a life of significance, which is beyond us, and that takes us taking our eyes off ourselves and serve other people, right? And I ask different questions nowadays when I invest into people, because not everybody wants your time, not everybody wants to actually listen, and I think a lot of people, um, value success, but again, we also have to have participate in that and change and grow. So I always ask questions: does this person want to change and grow and do more with their life? And would that be a worthy investment of my time? Because I feel like to get the greatest use out of your life, you got to live your life so that the use of your life outlives your life. So if somebody isn't willing to take that time I can invest it into somebody else, I'm going to invest in somebody else that actually wants it, right? That they're going to go create 100 times results, 100-fold, based off what I'm pouring into their life, right? The seeds I'm sowing in their life. I want to see them grow, have amazing marriage, right? And so, anyways, but
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you coming on today and sharing part of your story, part of what you've learned, over the years. And for everybody, just, if you got some value out of this, share this with somebody if you think they need to hear the message, right? Click that like button, comment, subscribe, and share this out. And I just want to remind you guys, put a little bit of effort in today that's going to pay off, when you look back in a year. That says, they'll make you want to say, hey, I'm so glad I took those steps. I'm so glad I went from just having good intentions to I actually did it. I implemented it, so areas of faith, family, finances, and fitness. Josh added your future. Think about your future and fun. And then he shared with you guys the VVSG: values, vision, strategies, goals. That's that just looks like a slam dunk right there if you actually implemented it. So, Josh, we appreciate you sharing that, and everyone on the podcast, go out there, make those changes, and we're going to catch you on the next one.
awesome, brother. Appreciate it. Love you, man. Thanks for having me on, and
Yeah.
it was definitely my pleasure.
Awesome. If you like that clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. If you want to watch the entire interview, click right here.